Hi, Carrie.
Hey, Jake.
How you doing?
I am doing as can be expected. How about you?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's accurate for me too. It is Tuesday, June 23rd as we record this. It's like a lot of stuff has happened since the last episode was recorded.
Sure has.
And the neighborhood is setting off half of the fireworks in the northern hemisphere on my street this evening. And you may and probably will hear that as this episode goes on. And I'm super tired, but within all those parameters, I'm fine.
Within all those parameters, here's a list of 50 reasons why I'm not fine, but I'm totally okay. Everything's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like this is always the conversation these days, which is like you say to someone, so how are you doing? And then they're like, they kind of sort of gesture at the world and are like, well, but fine.
Yeah. Yep. That's pretty much exactly how it goes every time. I'm just like, nah, all of this. It's like, yep, it's the worst.
Yes. So, anyway, we are a young adult fiction podcast.
We are, but right now I'm finishing off my master's degree and have a lot of classes that I'm in. So I really don't have the time to read books, unless the books are about grant writing in an electronic age, which is the class I'm taking this summer. Super exciting. So we're doing media and we're doing TV shows. Let's just be realistic.
So we're talking about a TV show today, the one that we've been talking about for a while. And which episode are we talking about today, Carrie?
We're watching The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, episode 5 or chapter 5.
Dreams in a witch.
Awesome. This episode is a whole big ball of crazy and has nothing to do with anything going on with the world. And so I welcomed it on that level. One thing I should note, I've been doing these Netflix watch parties for the new Sabrina episodes that we talked about. And if you're interested in getting in on that, just keep an eye on the Love YA Like Crazy Twitter account at Love YA Pod. And I'll announce them there. For this episode, I watched it with our friend Annie Redacted, and another friend, Steph Redacted, sent in a bunch of comments later, which I will try to sprinkle throughout this discussion. Definitely send in your own comments if you want, and we will probably read them on the podcast. So, with all that understood, let's talk about the episode.
Let's do the thing.
All right. So, let's see. Well, for the listeners at home, we accidentally,
GarageBand fucked up.
Yeah. We had a problem where we lost the first part of the recording. And then I said, oh, no problem. I have an emergency backup that I can use. And then we finished recording and I discovered that I didn't actually have an emergency backup. So we're having to re-record. So according to my notes here, we talked about the episode setup, Sabrina and Ambrose's dreams, and we got about a minute into Zelda's dream.
Okay, we're good. We can do that.
And we talked for 22 minutes.
Okay.
So if we do it faster than that, we've beaten our old record. We get to put our initials on the high scoreboard.
Fuck yeah.
So we're talking about Dreams in a Witch House.
And this is exactly what happens. They're in a witch house, and this is an episode about what happens after Sabrina opens up the magical puzzle box that her dad enchanted. The headmaster had told her that she can study whatever she wants if she can get this fucker open. And in the end of the last episode, it opens up. And now we find out what's in it.
So what's in it is a sleep demon.
Sure is. A sleep demon named Batty Bat with maybe the worst makeup I've ever seen.
My God. Yeah, those Batty Bat's fingers look like chicken fingers.
Yes, they're so bad. And you can almost see the seams on her face, like where her mouth is able to open up. You're like, oh, you look like the mannequin from Saw. As a witch? Not cool.
Batty Bat is an actual, it's taken from some real life thing.
Correct. I looked that up too. But of course, I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, me either.
But I know that it's real fake. Or fake real.
I assume that the depiction here isn't too much like the mythological version, unless the mythological version had bugles on the end of its fingers as well.
One can only hope. So at the beginning of the episode, Sabrina runs into her aunt's bedroom and she's like, oh, fuck my dick. I just did a thing.
Yeah.
When I solved the puzzle, the Acheron configuration, it set a demon free, and now it's loose.
What kind of demon?
House? A demon, a scary demon.
And they're like, okay, let's do the protocol.
Whatever kind it is, we have protocols in place.
We do?
We seal the house to contain the entity, to prevent it from escaping into the world where it would cause rampant, wanton chaos.
Oh, right, that's right.
So they cast the spell, and then the demon shows up and is like, you fuckers. Another trap? I've been trapped in that stupid Rubik's Cube for 70 years. And now I'm trapped again. No, this is not going to happen. And then Zelda's like, well, I'm going to trap you again. And she traps it in an urn. I have a question about timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So the demon was captured 70 years ago by Sabrina's father.
Yes.
Who, well, this may not actually be true because it happens in a dream. But the claim at least is that he had insomnia and this demon was to blame. Now, the key to untrapping the demon was in a notebook that Sabrina had, which included a picture of Sabrina's mother. That was the key to unlocking it. And Sabrina's mother is a human and mortal.
Correct.
So
Correct. What the fuck? What the fuck? That makes no sense. So
it does not.
we have to still go back 16 years. So if she'd been trapped for 70 years, that means that no, that's bullshit. Unless he changes the password on the regs.
Maybe.
No, that's stupid. They don't think you're smart, they're dumb. Full stop.
So they capture the demon, apparently, and they have a little tea, and then they all go to bed.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, that's how you do the thing. That was easy.
Problem solved. Episode super short this week for some reason. And so while Hilda is putting Sabrina to bed, Sabrina's like, so what would have happened if Zelda hadn't captured the demon in the urn?
Well, my love, let me tell you what would have happened. It would have been horrible. She would have invaded our dreams and tortured us until we told her the way to get out of this hellhole. Sweet dreams, tut-tut, night-night.
Thank God that didn't happen. Oh, no!
Dream of sweet kisses.
So throughout this episode, we're going to see everyone's nightmare. And often there's going to be sort of an aspect of it starts out nice with people getting what they want, although that's not always true. But so we find out what their deepest desires are, and then we find out what their deepest fears are, in theory. So we start with Sabrina's dream.
So Sabrina is at school, and she's talking to Harvey, and they're like, oh, lovey-dovey. And then he gets down on one knee and proposes to her in front of the whole school with Nick Scratch standing right there.
What about that nice, handsome warlock, Nicholas Scratch?
My favorite name.
And Sabrina's like, yeah, let's do the thing. This'll be cool. And so she goes back home, and the aunts are like, well, do you love him? She's like, yeah, I do. They're like, okay.
Well, if that is the case, then you must be honest with him. If he truly loves you, he will accept you for what you are.
Yeah, I mean, Zelda is pretty skeptical.
Marry him at your peril, niece. But also hear this. Your attempts to conciliate your duality will only bring you pain and suffering.
One of the things that I kind of liked about this setup is that the school, like the high school, is sort of this amalgamation of the unseen university or whatever it's called and the human high school that they go to. So there are students from all of the same things. And I felt like it sort of captured the, like when you're describing a dream to someone, you're like, and then it was my high school, but it wasn't my high school, but I could tell it was my high school, you know.
Felt like my high school, but you weren't there, but you were there. And it was weird because like I didn't know you then. But you were there.
So I kind of liked that about this section. And so Sabrina does tell him the truth.
He's like, this sounds familiar.
Yes, that is in fact what he says, but I just liked his delivery of the
Why am I suddenly having a strange sense of deja vu?
Because I told you once, in the woods, and then I made you forget.
Sorry, bro.
And he's like, don't even worry about it.
Because I love you.
I love you. I feel like I kind of remember it anyway. It'll be great. We'll get married. It'll be awesome. And so, I mean, I guess what we're being told here is that what Sabrina wants is to like tell the truth about herself and be accepted. So then we're at the marriage.
Which is this amazing, again, sort of maybe what you're saying about the high school where it's like, it's the high school, but it's not. So it's a regular secular marriage and then a witch marriage all at once.
Blackwood is officiating and he says, I'm here to unite you in holy and unholy matrimony. The audience is not the correct word for a wedding, is it? Well, maybe it is. Who's to say?
Guests.
Yeah, the guests are basically every character who's ever had a line. And a rabbit for some reason. Did you notice the rabbit?
I didn't notice the rabbit, but that's got to be somebody who's familiar.
It's a giant. No, it's like human sized. It's
like Harvey?
Yes.
So there's a puka in the audience.
Wow. Harvey, you just blew my mind. That was like a universe mind brain moment for me. Harvey.
You're welcome.
Is Harvey Sabrina's imaginary friend? Does he not really exist?
No, because Harvey's a puka, so he's real. But only certain people can see him. So I would imagine that magical people can probably see pukas. And therefore, why wouldn't he be invited to the wedding? He's part of somebody's like friend group.
These points are valid. So they're getting into the ceremony, and then suddenly Harvey's brother and father bust in through the door.
Stop.
One of them is holding a mace, and they're like, fuck you, this wedding isn't going to happen. Kill the witch. And Harvey's like, why did you have to tell me? It would have been fine if you didn't tell me.
But she told him. And so now he needs to choke her.
And then throw her in an Iron Maiden.
Because where else are you going to throw somebody? No other option.
It's just practical. And then Batty Bat shows up and is like, hey, if you want to get out of this nightmare, then you better tell me how to get out of your house. And Sabrina's like, no. And then we move on to the next dream.
Next dream is Ambrose's dream.
Yep.
Ambrose has some... Ambrose is fucked up. I feel really bad for Ambrose. So it starts off where Ambrose is in the basement in the morgue.
Hilda says, we've got a new body. He's been stabbed. And he's very handsome, but he's just kind of a loser that doesn't have any friends and nobody cares about him. Kind of a shame. But anyway, here he is. And so there's a body bag. Ambrose unzips it.
Ambrose is inside the body bag looking up at Ambrose.
Wow. What a twist.
What a twist. Nobody was expecting that.
Nobody was.
Everybody was.
It's true. So Ambrose quotes some Shakespeare.
Alas, poor Ambrose. I knew him well.
And has like a bone saw and starts digging into Jadhin's chest.
A fellow of infinite jest.
So he pries open his own ribs and takes out the heart.
Yes! I remember now. Thank you. Thank you.
And he chows down on it. And Hilda's like,
Ambrose, whatever are you doing? Well, now that you've done it, how does it taste, your heart?
Bitter.
Bitter.
Yes. Super obvious, but enjoyed by me. Because that was one of those situations where I say a line a split second before the actor does, and then I get to feel smug. So Hilda leads him upstairs, and Blackwood's there.
She'd gone to the school for something about Sabrina, and then she came back.
So Blackwood is there to tell Ambrose that they've reopened his case. Ambrose was apparently convicted and sentenced by Blackwood's predecessor, aka Sabrina's dad.
Which makes the whole thing extra awkward. Not only are you trapped in the house with him, for all I know, Sabrina's dad actually didn't live in the Spellman mortuary house, but still, you're going to convict your cousin, sentence him, and then force him to live probably with or at least close to you. No wonder your heart's bitter.
Bitter.
So Blackwood says, we've looked into it again. We've decided that to overturn the conviction, you're free to go. Here's a bag full of everything you need to get started again. Everything's coming up roses for Ambrose. And Ambrose is like, this is awesome. And he looks so happy. And he starts to leave. And suddenly Batty Bat shows up.
And stabs the fuck out of him.
Indeed.
Then he goes into the morgue as the body.
He relives the beginning from the corpse's perspective. And it's real Twilight Zone-y.
And also he can feel it, but he's dead. But he has thoughts, but he's dead. And at one point in the cycle, do you recognize that you're part of the cycle and you just don't do the thing? You'd have to do it twice. Once to be the cutter and once to be the cuttee. But after that, you've done both sides. You know how it goes. How could you torture me further?
Yes, you're right. That is not explored, but it is something I wondered about a bit. And later on, as we'll talk about, both hymns are conscious and both are apparently him and both can act together or independently. And I don't know. It's whatever. It's a dream world. I guess it's not supposed to make sense.
What we're saying here is we're smarter than the writers and they should have consulted us before they made this episode.
That's correct. One thing I should mention is that another character shows up in this section, which is what's her name?
Fuck if I know. Oh, duh. It's the Dum Dum McFuckface.
Okay, hold on.
Wardwell.
Yes, that's right.
Otherwise known as Dum Dum McFuckface.
That was in the original draft of the script, but so Wardwell shows up and is like, "Hey, is this Sabrina's dream? Oh, it's not. Well, fuck you. I'm leaving."
You lost then?
Yes. I believe I'm in the wrong nightmare.
It would behoove her to wake all of them up in some way, shape, or form, but she doesn't.
Not at this point in time. Oh, you know what? We should probably also mention earlier Batty Bat saw Wardwell through the magic mirror and recognized her and called her Mother of Demons.
And how did she recognize her, by the way? Because this is the first time that she's had this particular face.
Yeah, I don't know. Demons, I don't know. I could make up some bullshit answer. But
the answer is fuck if I know.
I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure it's bullshit. But that's new information that Wardwell is the Mother of Demons. We've kind of wondered what her deal was. And I think you said in the very first episode,
I feel like there's still something else about her that isn't quite meshing with the other witches. Yeah, she's knocking boots with Satan.
yeah.
she's definitely special, but we still don't really know what her deal is, but we'll find out soon enough, I'm sure.
But she ordered Batty Bat, like, don't
touch the bitch.
And Batty Bat is like,
The spawn of spellmen have sealed me in this house. No one in or out, not even you. And so, I shall plunder their minds and orchestrate a symphony of nightmares. Until one of them cracks like an egg and tells me the spell that unlocks this house. And then, Demon Mother, I will slaughter them. One by one.
Yeah, I believe she's saying the Eat a Bag of Dicks song.
yes. That haunting melody. And Batty Bat tells Ambrose,
It'll be you, I think, that breaks first. You or the bubbly one.
However, nobody breaks. So,
well, Zelda comes closest.
Zelda comes closest because, man, Zelda is a jealous puppy.
Yeah. So chronologically, the next dream is Hilda's, but we're going to hold off on that one because there are things to discuss with that. So let's move on a little bit towards Zelda's dream.
Zelda is reading a book to some children. She's reading the Dark Bible or something.
Something like that, yeah.
But did Eve die when she ate the fruit, children? No, of course not.
There's one child in particular whose attention we are drawn to because he's basically covered in chocolate.
He looks like Augustus Gloop.
Very apt.
Maybe a bit like a suckling pig.
That's fair as well. His name is Fergus.
Fergus the fucked. And then she hears that the Dark Lord is going to be coming to town.
We bring you news from the Nine Circles. Our Dark Lord has chosen your house for a special honor. Once a year, he assumes the shape of man to visit his most devout disciples and break bread with them. This year, our Dark Lord has chosen you and your sister for that distinction. He will honor you with his presence at dinner.
Hooray!
Hilda's like, ooh, I'm going to make my vegetable pie.
And Zelda is like, oh, I'm going to kill and roast Augustus Gloop.
Because, of all the children, he'd be the one.
Yes.
And she knows that the Dark Lord loves to eat children. That's his favorite food.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, she's going to go for his favorite food. She is going to win this. He's going to fall in love. He's going to give them everything that they've ever wanted, and they will be favored forever. And then he shows up.
He's also played by the same actor as Blackwood.
Really, truly is.
And who seems to be having the time of his life.
He was hamming it up.
Yes.
And he's really stoked to eat. So out comes the child on a plate. And she's like, I've made you roast child, my lord.
And he says, is this a child of dark or a child of light?
She's like, shit, it's dark meat, lord.
It's like, he's a child of deliciousness.
He's like, oh, shit, you killed one of ours? Nah, dog, I ain't eating that shit. I'm just eating the veggies.
Does it contain onions?
No, Dark Lord. I know you don't like onions.
And this episode's habit of making everyone super thirsty for Hilda is in evidence here.
Because the Dark Lord loves her vegetables. Thinks they're the best vegetable pie he's ever had in his whole life, which is forever. And asks her to dance and laughs at her jokes. They just have a great time. But what about Zelda?
Oh man, Zelda is so angry. Like, she cannot handle her sister having any kind of success or any kind of happiness.
And I think it's not just that Hilda is happy and is successful. I think it's also that Zelda is unsuccessful.
Yes, I think that's true.
So it's not like they both failed and it sucks and she can kill her sister and they're fine. But it's that she failed where Hilda succeeded. That would just like went up her ass so sideways it wasn't funny.
There's also like a total retelling of the story of Cain and Abel here.
Sure is.
Maybe inverted a little bit, because in the original story of Cain and Abel, if I remember that children's book of Bible stories that I read in a dentist's office when I was like 10 years old, Cain made a sacrifice of vegetables because he was a farmer, and Abel made a sacrifice of a lamb, and God took the God took Abel's sacrifice, but not Cain's, and then Cain got angry and jealous and killed Abel. If I got any of that wrong, please don't at me. I feel like we've probably reached where the point at which we started recording again.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording.
Me too.
Zelda does need therapy.
Yes.
Because Zelda can't handle her sister having any sort of relationship outside of her.
So the inevitable happens. Zelda kills Hilda, hitting her with a shovel, and says,
You didn't even want to join the Church of Night. You never even loved him.
The Dark Lord returns, and Zelda basically reveals, like, oh yeah, if you haven't caught on yet, this is totally a retelling of the story of Cain and Abel. She says,
Am I my sister's keeper?
and the punishment is that the Dark Lord says that Hilda is never going to come back. She's gone forever.
Oh, so she's super sad.
She has at several points during the stream, she has a full-on nervous breakdown, and yeah, she just cannot deal with it.
I think a lot of people probably had a lot of fun with this episode, as terrible as it was. Like, you really just got to go balls out fucking bananas in this episode.
Yeah.
Poor Zelda. Tell me the spell that unlocks this house, and I'll bring her back to life.
So, shall we go on a visit to my brother Bob?
Yeah, we should go see our dear friend Hilda, who goes to the school for the conference. And that's where I'm like, wait, isn't that part of Ambrose's dream?
Anyway, I'm off to Sabrina's parent-teacher conference, so I'll leave you to do the autopsy.
Anyway, she goes to the school, and it turns out that maybe Principal Hawthorne has a little crush on our dear friend Hilda.
You know what else he has? A giant poster of himself on the wall.
He loves him.
He does.
Well, or at least Hilda loves the idea of him loving him.
Hilda, yeah. I felt like Hilda... My takeaway from this is that what Hilda wants is to be desired and taken care of instead of being
murdered on the regular.
Yeah, ignored and or murdered and having to take care of everyone else.
Yeah. So she goes out to dinner, has wine, and he's feeling himself. He is like ready to tell her everything about himself and his life. And he'd sort of dropped the hint earlier in the episode.
Do you have any siblings?
I had a brother, but he was stillborn.
And then the big reveal is a little later, after he gets her drunk, takes her upstairs, and
that he gobbled his brother up like a greedy little piggy.
Yep.
And then she got to meet the brother.
So how would you describe this effect?
There is a face, well, part of a face, and this little, like, stunted arm on Malky Bartakamos' stomach. And it rolls its eyes. And it's amazing. And it's so bad.
I just want you and the listeners at home to know that every time we record, I resist the urge to make a don't be ridiculous joke whenever we talk about this character.
Aww.
Yeah, I'd like you to meet my brother Bob, he says. Hilda tries to get away, but discovers that over the course of the night,
she's been sewn to
Zelda, whose mouth she earlier slapped shut in another weird looking effect. Yeah, so she's just attached literally at the hip to her sister.
Literally at the hip. So the one thing she wanted was to escape her sister and, like, bang a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, which would be an automatic threesome, right?
Well, I guess foursome now.
True. That's like double the incest.
Yes.
So much incest.
So Batty Bat says that if Hilda gives her the secret to leaving the house, that she will rid her of her dark half. So it's like a little bit, I mean, there's kind of a symmetry in that Hilda's greatest fear is to never be able to leave Zelda, and Zelda's greatest fear is that Hilda will leave.
She always expects that Hilda will come back and can't even deal with the idea that one day she might not.
So that is poignant, sort of, although I don't, in this episode, can this episode be described as poignant in any way?
None of it. None of this is poignant. This is all fucked up and weird. There's a guy who was forced to both cut his own body open and then watch himself cut his own body open. There's a girl who fucking got put in a Iron Maiden by her boyfriend. I mean, whatevs.
Whatevs.
Sounds kinky. Like, you do you. Then there's everything with fucking Zelda and Hilda that is bonkers. And poor Zelda, like, she cannot stand the idea of someone else getting the credit or being better than her. And she flips her ish. So yes, therapy. And then Hilda, fucking hell, hers is the worst, because hers has the most grotesque, odd shit. I don't know. Although Ambrose wins. Yeah, sorry, everybody, Ambrose wins. It's like, even with my brother Bob, like, Ambrose still wins. He has to watch himself eat his heart.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ambrose's dream is kind of the most extra because he recites Shakespeare as he's sawing himself together, and there's the thing about, you know, what does your heart taste like? It's bitter, and like all this ridiculous theatrical stuff.
But it's Ambrose. I mean,
yeah, no, 100%.
None of it surprises me. Also, what the fuck? Ambrose, the internet exists.
Oh yeah, that's what Steph said.
Like, yeah, like, come on, man. This is the 21st century. Like, you don't have to look at a fucking Sears catalog anymore, asshole.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about the books at the beginning. So Hilda is reading The Turncoat by Donna Thornland, a real life book written by the real life producer of Sabrina.
It's rather good.
So there's some product placement there. It's a historical romance. That's what I gathered.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what it was, and I didn't look it up, and I was like, I don't know, it's probably Austin, and I just can't see it from here.
Yeah, no, it's so the producer exists in, well, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. Zelda's reading the Satanic Bible, and Ambrose is downstairs reading a book called The Masculine Shape, and clearly is preparing to whack off to it. There's like sort of, I don't know, what does that guy look like? He's wearing kind of tidy whities, except they're actually more aptly described as saggy whities. Just a guy sitting around in his underwear on the back cover of this book. Yeah. So
that's really all we have to say about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where you get a magazine like this in this day and age. Maybe he's had it forever.
I'm going to say, I'm sure it's seen some stuff.
Yeah. Let's move along from that. So how does this episode end?
I thought it was actually a really good way that it ended, you know, because Wardwell had seen Batty Bat. So she astral projects into the living room and starts exploring Sabrina's house and needs to find out where Batty Bat is in everyone's dreams and wakes Sabrina up.
Using her voodoo doll that she made. So I guess the toenails, well, no, those weren't Sabrina's toenails, unless her aunts are really into some serious creepy shit.
Well, she got the hair from from Sabrina's hairbrush.
But anyway, yeah, she has a voodoo doll of Sabrina. She stabs it and it pricks Sabrina awake.
And she's like, okay, bitch, you got to run. You got to run so far away from this house. Like, you got to run. And Sabrina's like, nah, dog, not going to do that. I'm going to fucking be the hero, even though my magic sucks ass.
It really does.
So she goes into everybody's dreams and she's like, hey, bitches, you got to wake up. And finally she gets to Batty Bat. And Batty Bat goes into the bedroom and notices Sabrina's fucking pillows are there and she's pissed. And the first thing she should do is look under the bed, but she doesn't because she's not a smart Batty Bat. Because, I mean, if someone just left their bed and you don't see them and the window's not open, aren't they under the bed? Like, but whatever. Checks in the closet and then just leaves the room. Sabrina actually does something super cool to trap her. She uses Hilda Save the Day.
Yeah, like when Sabrina goes into everyone's dreams, which she does by taking Foxglove and setting a kitchen timer for 2 minutes. First, she goes to talk to Zelda, and Zelda is completely non-functional, like can barely even talk. Then goes to Hilda, and Hilda's like, oh yeah, no, here's how you capture a demon. Nightmares are just a kind of bad dream. So use a dream catcher. Then she goes to Ambrose and is just like, distract this demon for me, okay? Which Ambrose, this is like, the fact that there's two of them is used for sort of comedic effect here.
There's a sleep demon named Batty Bat on the loose in the house. You're dreaming this.
I am?
Yes, but I have a plan and you're gonna help me.
Tell me what to do. Shut up, you.
So like he calls Batty Bat and is like, I'm totally gonna let you out. I'll tell you what the spell is. And Batty Bat's okay, cool. And then the two hymns sort of alternately say things to her until she figures out what's going on.
Like, oh yeah, so you have to say this thing and you have to stand on one leg and you have to do this. And it's only a thing that Spellmans know. So
she goes to Sabrina. Let's see. Well, Steph's note on this was Sabrina must be a witch to do Cat's Cradle without another player. That's some next level shit.
That is some next level shit. I mean, being able to do a simple thing is one thing, but the fact that like it wasn't just a fucking tangled mess, she actually did it right. It's like, damn, girl. So all of Hilda's familiars, they took care of business.
They were spiders. They did the good spider thing, and Batty Bat is just like captured in this cocoon, and then is trapped in a jam jar.
I hope that is a more stable jam jar than the urn.
I appreciate that when Hilda and Zelda wake up, their first instinct is to like look for Sabrina. That was nice. Everyone sort of agrees that they're never going to talk about the dreams, which again, go to a therapist.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that they know that Sabrina saw their dreams, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
Sabrina, she sort of let them off the hook and was like, oh yeah, it's totally hazy. And they're like, phew, you don't know how much I fucking hate myself. Therapy.
It's a good thing. For witches and normal people, too.
Witches are normal people.
Yes. Good point.
I was like, we have a friend who's a witch.
I have to edit myself smart. Oh, so then Sabrina calls Harvey and is like, you'd never hurt me, would you? And Harvey's like, no, of course not. And she's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, which they had already arranged in the last episode to walk to school together so Harvey could tell her about his adventures with Satan. But anyway, this time he says he'll see her at civics class with Miss Wardwell. And Sabrina's like, wait a minute, Miss Wardwell was in my dreams. Hold up.
I'm going to go for a fucking ridey bye-bye and go see somebody.
And that somebody is Miss Wardwell, mother of demons.
And so she goes to her house. Wardwell answers the door and Sabrina's like, hi. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yes.
And then credits. So, I mean, this episode was a total piece of shit.
Yeah.
It didn't advance the plot. It didn't enhance the plot. It was a total piece of shit. But man, they must have had a lot of fun doing it.
Yes, I'm glad they enjoyed it. No, I mean,
because we sure as fuck did.
I actually kind of did. I appreciate the total shit shows. And it's yeah, it is just kind of fun to just see everyone be like, oh, let's just go, let's turn all the dials up to 11 and just see what happens. Demon with bugles on the ends of the fingers? Sure, why not? Gay porn from 1920? Why the hell not?
Product placement of a book that no one's ever read and probably won't read.
And which you can't really see unless you pause and zoom in on it. Yeah, let's do it.
But you paused and zoomed in on it.
I did. So on the rewatch, I was like, you know what? I feel like this thing is like the details are not super important. I'll try not to get too bogged down when I take my notes. And then like within the first 10 seconds, I was like, must know title of book. Enhance.
Oh my God. You just went full Dark Lord. I love it.
I try. So what there are a few details I wanted to kind of mention, that, well, either that caught my attention or that Steph Redacted mentioned to me.
So here's what I don't understand about witches and witchery in this show, in the context of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. When do witches have kids? Do they wait till they're like 200 and they're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna have a baby now? Because I don't know how old Sabrina's dad was when he had her, but he was at least 75. So like, when do witches like okay, you know what, I'm 300, I'm gonna settle down now, have a kid? And then like, you can never get anything over your parents because they've literally seen everything. They're hundreds of years old. You're fucked.
And all their parenting ideas are from the 1700s.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I know, was not a golden age of good parenting.
No, I don't think it's a golden age of kids staying alive either, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Blackwood and his wife are trying to have another kid.
And we know that they're not young either, but they're younger than, well, no, they might not be.
On another note, so this is something that Steph mentioned to me a couple of times, which is that she said that there's a shoe display wall in the Spellman household, which I missed the first time around, and then I was kind of looking for it the second time around, and I missed it then also, possibly because I was very tired when I watched it the second time. But does this ring any bells for you? Did you see anything like this?
I looked for them, but I did not see them because I saw the note and I was like, I don't know what the fuck.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for it. I'm sure I'll watch this episode again while I'm editing this, and I'll keep an eye out for it. And if I find it, I will edit in an updated thing here saying Steph was totally right. So maybe you'll be hearing from future me right now.
Maybe.
Jake from the future here. About 45 minutes and 30 seconds in, there's a weird ass haul of shoes in the Spellman household. Steph was right, and I'm not sure how I missed it the other times I watch it. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled episode. So I think that those are basically all my notes about this. It was a hell of a thing to watch. It was very weird. I enjoyed it on that level.
I love that you enjoyed it on that level. I have been watching. So have you been watching Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beasts?
I watched the first season. I've been holding off on season 2, but I want to watch it sometime before too long.
You need to watch it because it's so good. So I'm like halfway through season 2 and I started season 1 like 2 days ago. I'm obsessed, obviously, because this TV show is basically made for me. Like, I've never seen a show before that was so very like Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is frightening how delightfully me this is. So last night I was like, have to get through Sabrina so I can watch Kipo.
Wow, that is there's a different vibe in those two shows.
The toughest cat that you ever saw. Well, he could chop down a tree with just one swing. We call him Yummy and Hammer Paw. Whoa, whoa, we call
earn cheapo time. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear what you think about. So what did you think about the first season? I thought it was like completely the most perfect thing that I've ever seen in my life.
It was really great. Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's I watched it because a podcast that I listened to, the D20 Dames, they were having a watch along every Saturday. They would watch 2 episodes using Netflix Party, the very same technology I use for my Sabrina watch alongs.
I want to do the next Sabrina watch along, but I don't have Facebook anymore, so I don't know when things happen.
Okay. Well, I have your email addresses and Steph's and Annie's who have been participating. So I'll send an email around and we'll figure it out.
Awesome. So now that I have Netflix Party available, I would like to Netflix Party.
Sweet. So the next thing that you're going to hear in a week or two will be an episode about Riverdale. But then after that, we're going to talk about The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Chapter 6.
Cannot wait.
An Exorcism in Greendale.
Fuck yeah. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. It probably will not be as crazy as this episode.
It could be. We don't know. It's an exorcism, Jake.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, who's going to be exorcised? Oh, do you think this is going to be a Scooby Gang focused episode?
Maybe. Or maybe the exorcism is taking the demon out of Wardwell. Because that's not Wardwell's body. I mean, or that's not Wardwell's insides. She got possessed by the scissor throwing girl. Could be completely wrong. Probably completely wrong.
That's part of the fun of it. We give ourselves permission to be wrong, knowing that we cannot possibly be as wrong as the writers of this show.
That was beautifully put, and I appreciate that. You really are kind.
Okay. Well, I think, let's see. Is there anything else we should say? We haven't mentioned this in a while. The theme song of Love You Like Crazy is Hey There by the Sentimental Favorites. You can get all their music on Bandcamp and listen to it. I recommend it. Most of their songs are like 45 seconds long, and so you can listen to a whole bunch of them in like 15 minutes. It's great.
It's great.
Our icon is by Shaenon K. Garrity, a web cartoonist of the Skin Horse webcomic, among others, and she's great. And check her out too. And I don't know. That's it. The fireworks have stopped.
Yay! It's only 11:30. So glad they stopped.
Yes. Well, some did go off at 3 a.m. the other day. That was fun. But thanks for talking to me, Carrie.
Absolutely.
I love you like crazy.
I love you like crazy.
Give me a call when you get back. Hey there.
Hey.
LoveILikeCrazy.com.
So Ambrose quotes some Shakespeare and does some has like a bone saw and starts digging into Dadhim's chest.
You didn't let me with the best worst pun or joke I could have made.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It wasn't going to be good, and I would have wanted you to, edit it out. But let's say Ambrose gets cracking. It's so bad.
All right, I'll edit it in.
No.
Right. So he gets cracking.
Digs in.
This podcast is great. I don't know why more people don't listen to it.